Tonight, the Deputy Prime Minister visits the Menindee Lakes to inspect the continuing Darling River crisis. And Port Pirie preparing to serve up another international tennis tournament.
From our 7 Spencer Golf studios, your nightly news with Louise Hedger begins now.
Good evening. The Deputy Prime Minister has today toured the township of Menindee and inspected the sites of recent fish kills. Michael McCormick hearing from locals affected by the region's water crisis.
On the ground and listening to locals, but not saying anything new.
The fact is, it is dry. The fact is, governments can't make it rain. If we could, we would. But it's a dire situation.
Flanked by Member for Parks Mark Carlton and Murray-Darling Basin Authority CEO Philip Glyde, Mr McCormack met with dozens of fed-up Menindee residents today, those in attendance wanting real answers to long-standing questions.
They need 100% of a Royal Commission into the handling of this water.
But was there any major substance to Mr McCormack's visit? Well, not really. Besides reiterating that a special inquiry into the fish kills is underway.
He is going to report back to government, back to the Agriculture and Water Resources Minister federally, David Littleproud, by the 31st of March, and we will take action on his recommendations. Mr McCormack didn't announce anything new. Mr Glyde fielded most of the questions, the Deputy PM more there to run the meeting. When he did start taking questions, many locals had had enough, walking out before the meeting was over, deciding not to stick around to hear any more. They all care about their community, they care about their town, they care about their environment.
But it seems they didn't care about this visit. Patrick Reinke, 7 Spencer Golf News.
We have some developing news tonight, and 7 Spencer Golf understands the owner of the Whyalla Steelworks is behind in payments to local contractors. GFG Alliance says it's working through the situation, saying old operating systems have complicated payments. In a statement, the company says it's committed to support contractors and ensure they're paid according to terms and conditions. It's believed hundreds of thousands of dollars in money owed is yet to be paid. Many of the contractors affected are understood to be small businesses based in the city who do a majority of their work with GFG. We'll have more on this story in tomorrow night's bulletin. A $410 million pumped hydro project near Port Augusta could almost be to fruition, with the company this week lodging an electricity licence. The proposed project would see it become one of the largest of its kind in the state. Garth Burley has more.
The 230 megawatt project at Goat Hill, 12 kilometres west of Port Augusta, was approved for development in May last year. And this latest progression is showing encouraging signs for its future. The electricity licence will now have to be approved by the state's Essential Services Commission, who oversee all large energy projects. It will work using 2 115 megawatt turbines, which will help pump water upstream when there is excess electricity in the grid and propel it downstream when there is a shortage.
Can actually supply into the grid for up to several hours.
The $410 million project will be built by the combined partnership of Delta Electricity and Altura Group and was expected to start construction by the end of last year. But the conglomerate insists the delay isn't cause for concern.
Just with a project of this size, there are lots of things that need to be done before you can actually get to turn the first sods.
The construction contracts are being finalised now, and it's hoped the first works can begin on the site in the second half of this year. It's estimated the project will provide over 200 jobs in the construction phase and 15 permanent positions.
The Assistant Defence Minister has toured the latest addition to the Coltana Army Base. David Fawcett has inspected a new training and range control centre, which is helping prepare troops for the front line.
It's a jewel in the ADF's training crown. Coltana Army Base near Whyalla is nearing the end of a multi-million-dollar redevelopment focused on preparing troops for combat. Today it got an inspection from Assistant Defence Minister David Fawcett.
It allows a whole range of training in an area we're not encumbered by civilian infrastructure and people around.
And this sort of facility does provide the opportunity to train in a safe environment with a variety of capabilities.
Included in the build is a new range control centre, which will help coordinate use of the 2,000 square kilometre base. There's also an operations layout resembling an urban centre, complete with a replica apartment block, worship area and outdoor market. Army officers say the base resembles the conditions they're frequently operating in.
The Army is finding itself increasingly operating in built areas and has been for many years. Projected future operating environment will be predominantly in the urban.
Contractors from as far south as Port Lincoln have secured $33 million worth of work on the facility, much to the delight of Rowan Ramsey.
Making sure that we ramp that up, making sure that we keep the contractors and defence very focused on the fact that we need some kind of regional dividend.
The facility will be ready for use by April, with soldiers keen to get into training.
We expect that the units based around Adelaide will make good use of this facility as soon as it's opened.
John Hunt, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Some of Morocco's most prominent politicians spent the morning touring a range of Port Lincoln's famous fisheries, the delegation being treated to some of the region's finest produce.
Moroccan ministers sampling our finest seafood. Port Lincoln today playing host to prominent Moroccan politicians, including the Minister for Fisheries and Agriculture.
It's always nice to have international visitors and to showcase our industry in our town and how well we manage our fisheries here in South Australia.
Flying in this morning from Adelaide, the delegation stopped by the Fresh Fish Place, trying out some of the city's best catches, including the region's famous bluefin tuna. The Moroccan delegation came down here to the marina to see firsthand our tuna, prawns and sardine fisheries. The minister saying he's excited by what we have to offer.
To better understand and possibly to even improve the arrangements we have set up in Morocco as well.
Today was an opportunity for Port Lincoln and Morocco to also share ideas, and there's prospects of future trade between the two.
Outstanding partner to actually buy solutions from in the area of technologies, agriculture and fisheries.
The convoy is in Australia for a fortnight to learn about sustainability and how government can work together with the fishers and producers. Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Still to come tonight, we take a look into a new program teaching people to train wild horses. And Port Perry's tennis court set to play host to some of the world's greatest players. Welcome back. Training any wild animal can be difficult, but a program in Corn is tackling it head-on by teaching people to tame wild brumbies. The clinic is just as much about the recovery of the people involved as it is about the horses.
Placid, still and natural. Many would class the ability to train wild horses as a skill, but for Joe Hughes, it's a lifestyle.
I trained my first 3 horses in 1 week for the station when I was about 12.
The self-confessed horse whisperer has been taming brumbies ever since, and the born and bred South Aussie is now passing those talents to people in Corn.
So 3 hours, they'll stand dead still. You walk in the yard, you even call out their name and they'll come to you.
Wild horses from Anna Creek Station in the state's far north were caught for the week-long clinic. His process for taming the beasts is challenging, but is very unique.
We don't use bits and we don't train with anything, just our hands.
The clinic also serves as a path to recovery for the participants, with an average of 80% suffering from mental health issues.
Horses will sort of demonstrate the gaps in your makeup, and it's quite confronting. It's almost like a counselling session.
Everyone involved will get the opportunity to take their newly trained horse home, and the remaining brumbies will be auctioned off in Corn on Saturday. The proceeds will be donated to suicide awareness in Alice Springs and non-for-profit organisation Brumbies for Recovery.
You know, I would hope they'd make some type of money because they're all going to a worthy cause.
Garth Burley, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Musical lovers in the mid-north will be tickled pink with the news that Legally Blonde will be hitting the stage in Port Pirie. Live theatre group Southern Flinders Players is bringing the award-winning performance to the Northern Festival Theatre this month.
Everyone's favourite movie turned musical is gearing up for its debut appearance at the Northern Festival Theatre. The The Port Pirie-based group Southern Flinders Players has been working for a number of months to bring Legally Blonde to the stage.
So we've been working on this in some form since about July 2018.
75 musical lovers will be making their dream a reality. Local actor Sarah Middleton is excited to strap on the pink heels as Elle Woods.
I thought, what the heck? I'll just go all out. I'm going to go for the lead and see what happens. And yeah, I got the part, which was really surprising to me.
The cast has been busy ironing out their dance routine, and the play director has promised the set design will be a perfect match.
Our set team has been working extremely hard to build huge portable platforms that can be pushed around and moved on stage in very small amounts of time.
In a production first, a couple of handbag dogs will be adding a helping paw come opening night.
Because Bruiser as a character is so key to the character of Elle and to what people remember of the movie, we thought we should take the risk and incorporate real dogs.
Legally Blonde is showing from February 22nd to the 23rd. Dominic Beaton, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Aboriginal students are being given new educational support with the rollout of additional workabout centres across the state. The program, launched in Port Lincoln, aims to help students succeed after school.
It is for our young people to develop the skills what employees are looking for.
Helps all Aboriginal people to follow their dreams and study.
Through school-based traineeships and apprenticeships, the government-funded program aids to advance skills and knowledge to help students gain future employment. The program is currently aimed at Aboriginal students in years 7 to 12 at the Port Lincoln High School, and the acting principal says he's looking forward to seeing its results. Port Pirie's Come See Change Tennis International has returned, with women from across the world competing for $15,000 in prize money. It's the town's first opportunity to showcase the newly sealed courts at a professional level.
Let it be known that the Port Pirie Come See Change Tennis International has returned after a 2-year hiatus.
It's a Pro Tour tournament. We're looking at professional players coming from Australia and all around the world.
Players from Germany, Japan and the US will be stepping out onto the recently resurfaced courts competing for a prize pool of $15,000. The tournament will feature the likes of American tennis great Jennifer Ellie, who won 2 single titles in the ITF circuit. Swiss national Lulu Sun, who recently had a good run at the Playford International at the start of the year, will also be driving up the competition. 17-year-old Amber Marshall will be coming up from Adelaide to represent Australia.
We always loved having a tournament here at Port Pirie. It was here for 20 years and once the courts were upgraded, we've got it back on.
The local council has contributed $10,000 to the event as part of a sponsorship deal and are hoping to generate some economic stimulus for the town outside of the event.
The economic spin from having all of these tennis players here is just fantastic. We've just been talking to the organisers. This is what we really love about the community spirit.
Dominic Beaton, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us. After the break, we'll hear from the region's fishing experts and we'll have all the local weather details. Welcome back. Now time to take a look at what's biting around the region.
I'm sitting down this week because I nearly got my toe bitten off by a crab at Port Augusta on the weekend. You come round to Port Pirie, I think there's just as many here, probably not so big, but they are around the place everywhere. Yellowfin whiting, we've had a couple of cheeky mates turn around and give us a couple of ones that they've kept in their bait tank so that we could actually get a chance to handle a live fish instead of one from the fish shop. So plenty of yellowfin riding around the place, just work hard with those. Keep some squid on there because squid's actually the good thing, but you'd need to put a teaser bait with it just to get them a taste and then they'll come back to you. And if you're starting to look around for some pannies and all that sort of stuff, working on a system that you'll need to get fish in the future, I would say that if you start looking at your creeks, you might be on run.
G'day and welcome to this week's fishing tips from Port Augusta, Jewel of the North. Well, some crazy weather at the moment, fairly windy but a little bit cooler, which is good, so get out in the mornings, that's the tip there. Really good catches of crabs at the moment, they're big and full of meat and quite plentiful as well. Good catches of silver whiting, nice plump ones there. As always, high tides in the morning down on the shacks, low tides out in those middle banks. Up around Port Patterson, some good catches of salmon up in there. There's also been a school of kingfish of mid-size that's been spotted. No one's actually caught any, but they're getting spotted. And that's all we have from the Jewel of the North.
High whalers fishing report this week. Unfortunately, the wind has been up all week, so not a lot of reports have been coming in. There is still a lot of crabs right across for Whyalla, both south and north of the town, holding plenty of good-sized crabs, so get amongst those. The old iron ore jetty has been producing some really nice sized snapper early in the morning, late in the afternoons. With the wind being up, that's been the little hot spot to go to. There's also been a few fish around the corner along the one steel walls. Some nice snapper holding up there again, both sun up, sundown. Land-based around Whyalla, again, the water has been very dirty, so not a lot of action. Just a few silver whiting coming in from the foreshore.
G'day and welcome to this week's Fishing Tips from Port Lincoln. Starting up around Tumby Bay, the guys have been doing a ride up there on the yellowfin. Artificial lures and the clickers have been working really well up there. There's also been a bit of a mixed bag out at the group. Some good whiting a bit up in the northern grounds and a few snook and squid out there too. Moving down to Port Lincoln, there's been a few mixed reports from the crabs. Some guys doing well down in the Proper Bay and Spalding Cove. Other guys have been finding it hard. Also around the bay there's been some salmon trout, a few garfish around the place too, and the squid have been a bit hit and miss as well. And that's about it for this week, guys. We'll see you all again next week.
Now time for weather. Here's Britt Aylen with the latest forecast.
Thanks, Louise. Well, it's been a bit of a mixed bag today. Port Augusta, sunny with a top of 33. Windy in Whyalla, 29. Port Lincoln, fine and 26 today. Broken Hill, stormy and 37. Port Pirie, sunny and 31. From the satellite today, we can see a high pressure ridge strengthening over the Bight, where it will persist through the weekend. Southwesterly winds on the waters tomorrow at 25 knots with swells to 2.5 metres. Sunrise is due at 6:46 a.m. with sunset at 8:20. And it's looking mostly sunny across the region tomorrow. Port Augusta, cloud clearing with a top of 27. Whyalla and Port Lincoln both fine and 24. Coffin Bay 19. Woodner 27. Corn 28. Wind easing at Broken Hill, but a mostly fine day, 30 the top. Port Pirie 28. Clare and Cleve both 23. Kadina 27. To the weekend, Port Lincoln looking cloudy across Saturday with a slight chance of a morning shower. Much the same on Sunday, Monday fine and 26. Cleve fine through the weekend. Woodner cloudy on Saturday with some sun peeking through on Sunday. Whyalla fine across the weekend, maximums in the mid-20s. Port Augusta partly cloudy on Saturday, 26 the top, Sunday 29, Monday sunny and 33. And a fine few days ahead for Kadina. Port Pirie, maximums in the late 20s to end the week, 31 on Monday. Clare, a top of 23 on Saturday, looking fine Sunday, Monday. And Broken Hill, sunny across the weekend, 27 the top on Saturday, Sunday 28. And that's all for today's weather, Louise. I'll see you tomorrow.
You sure will, Britt. Thanks for that. And that's your local news this Thursday evening. We hope you have a great night. We'll see you again tomorrow. Good night.